All right, everything should be rocking and rolling right now on Facebook.
Should be.
Should be. I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it just to be sure. It's been a minute. This is not the normal setup.
We have a normal setup.
I do.
You've
You
been
go for it,
ignoring me for like a
please.
month.
All right, yeah, we're up and running. It's live. So, all right. Welcome to EMS Underground. I am, as you can see here, Charles McFall, and that's over there, Douglas Spencer. And today I'm coming to you from Trinity EMS. That's where I'm stationed at right now. And so they're bringing you both this and Georgia City of EMS are bringing you the EMS Underground today. Man, it's been a hot minute, hasn't it, Douglas?
Yes, I
And
just
you've been
said you've
calling
been
me.
ignoring me.
I have not been. You've been ignoring me. You've been like, no, I got work. I got life. I got kids. I got fires to put out.
Hey, that happens when you're paying the welfare instead of getting the welfare.
Oh, you're gonna be like that now, are you? All right. So lots of change. Lots of things have changed. I don't even remember what the last episode was. I do know I got on here. I did something because I know you weren't available, but I think I went ahead and recorded and got some stuff done. But it's so the short version is I'm still with Georgia City EMS. Obviously, this is their show and that thing. I still do the digital teaching and help with Con Ed and I have some specialties that I do over there. But I'm now the director of operations for Trinity EMS, and that's been an interesting onboarding process in the last, I guess, 3 weeks now, give or take, something like that. Oh yeah, I should pop those comments up so I can see the comments. And Nicole Spencer says, "You handsome devil, how the hell are you?" I'm doing just fine, Nicole. Thanks for asking. I appreciate you. um, so I want to ask you this because I know Tom wants to come on. He wants to come on and do a Never Say Never show, so we'll do that. But when I told you I was accepting the director of operations spot here at this service, what did you
Yeah.
think?
Honestly, I was thinking it was like an office thing, and you don't do very well with office things. But once you explained a little bit more about what it was, it's kind of your thing.
Oh, kinda. All right, cool. Well, I mean, I know you know me for a while. I was like, I tried to talk you out of doing EMS. I think that was your comments. Like, weren't you would talking me out of EMS? Like, yeah, obviously I didn't do a good job. I tried. You didn't listen.
Yeah, you and Chuck Savage. I don't remember if we were recording that or not. If we were just sitting around talking about that.
I don't remember either.
Hmm, that's been a hot minute.
Yeah, but man, I know stuff's still going on with Grady. I know stuff's still going on with DPH. There's supposedly going to be another PPE shortage coming up. Like they're projecting that it's the PPE for our industry is going to get pretty bad again. And the state, the state DPH is already working on it, already getting stuff taken care of there. I did go to the Region 3 EMS meeting digitally a week or two ago, and
How
it was
very chivalrous of you.
uh, it is not it wasn't their typical meeting. Their typical meeting there was there's I don't know there's one an energy to be in the room, but two being in COVID, everything's kind of just on hold right now, and so it's very much here's this trauma numbers report and here's this report and that is very between the format that we had to do it in being digital, right? Being real life, things flow. There's energy, but being digital, there were some issues there, and it just was slower because of that. And then some things being put on hold. It was there was not a whole lot to report on other than PPE shortage, and I thought there might have been something else, but I don't remember. But yeah, it was interesting enough. But I can tell you, I don't know how many state representatives you've worked with as far as DPH goes in EMS. Until recently, I've only worked with two, mostly EJ Daly, and then I had his name. I just blanked on his name, but our Region 3 instructor education coordinator, um, Derwin. Derwin. And they both are really easy to work with, really cool to talk to. But because now I'm in Monroe, right? This is where we're based out of is Monroe in Walton County. Although I did text you earlier, and Siri changed it to Monroe, Munroe, and I was like Monroe, and
I
you're
thought
like,
you did that on purpose. That's why I sent back that they got electricity down there.
hey, it worked out. I just can't take credit for it. Siri played that one. But I am working with Chris Threckeld now, and man, I got to tell you, these DPH people are. I don't know what I thought would happen. I always pictured the state being very hardcore, very cold, aloof. Most government things of no, here's this and that. Everybody is warm and easy and personable. And I think I talked to Chris 4 times in 3 days now.
Yeah.
I'll be probably seeing them tomorrow. We got a new truck, literally a brand new truck that we're putting up, and that's an interesting process to go through. But Chris has made it really easy, and been very patient and educated me on probably more than he needed to. Like, not his job, right? His job is to. Well, I mean, I know his job is to help, right? That's what we do. But I mean, he's gone above and beyond in my book to really help me understand the process of getting things done and putting it up. But dude, I was telling you earlier, well, I was told, hey, you'll get a brand new truck, first part of December. I didn't ask details. So, Frank Grantham, how's it going? I didn't ask details. I'm just used to because I've only worked with fleets, right? Worked for National EMS, worked for Newton Medical Center. When is that? Before it was Piedmont, Jasper County EMS. So I'm used to. Well, okay, Jasper County never got a new truck while I was around, but any other was like, yeah, we're gonna have a new truck, and essentially it was turnkey service. Here's the key, it's ready to go. Because I was a medic, and I wasn't thinking twice about it. So truck showed up, and I got it scheduled for 2 days to be on the road 2 days after it showed up, and it was empty. Like, empty. Like, oh, crap. And now it's my job to fill it. Fortunately, I definitely have Sal Ganges. I think I said his name wrong. Sorry, Sal, if I messed your name up. I've never really said your name out loud before. Last name, anyway. I've got Sal really who's making sure all the supplies are there and taking care of stuff. Roy Perry, he works for us. He's been a real good person to rely on, and he stepped up. I'm actually everybody here really stepped up and helped out. But Sal and Roy both are the people that work for that. And I imagine it's similar. You were always like, I went and get this tanker truck from this trash heap, or I went and got this engine from that trash heap. Yeah, because you always buy the used trucks for the volunteer service out there. It's not super difficult. There's just more steps. Going down the list of what needs to be on the truck and then getting it certified. How many times have you gone through that? And what is it? Has it been difficult, or has it gotten easier as you go?
Well, most of what I'm doing is replacing trucks, so it's not like I got to start all over. However, we recently did do that, partly because the truck that we were replacing didn't have any good equipment on it. But most of what I do is go get a chassis, and so the equipment that's on the truck we currently have goes onto the new truck. It's just a swap.
So it's a swap. You delete one and add one.
Yeah, but recently we got a truck and didn't have anything to put on it because the truck that we were replacing, all the hose and stuff was out of date, and it was literally crusty. When we pulled the rolls off of it, and I say rolls very, very loosely, it literally went
That turned to dust or just crackled out?
Cracked, and dirt and dust and crap fell off of it. I feel like I need a bath.
Yeah. Hey, every time I get over start coding, that's how I feel. It's not that hard, honestly. It's just never having done it. I bit off a bit more than I could chew with because I called Chris Monday. I was like, hey, I'm a bit of a time crunch. I just got this truck. I'm trying to get on the road by Wednesday morning. And I don't even know if that's a thing. Is that a thing? Can we do that? He goes, well, here's the process of what I can do. Here's what I need from you. Uh, and because Chris was absolutely going to work with me. And he goes, I'm available at this time on Tuesday. And I'm like, all right. And then Tuesday morning, I call him like, yeah, it ain't going to happen because I haven't been able to pull the stuff, all the stuff to get on it. And we're still figuring out the application process. Because that's the other thing, too, is I need to be put in as an admin. There's so many things this is unlike the civilian world, right? Because I've been in positions in the civilian world. I've been a manager in places and run stuff and let's say Chick-fil-A, right? Because I used to work there as a assistant manager. I think is where I got to with them back many years ago. A place like that is you come in, you get hired. Here's the job orientation. Here's your uniform. Go to work. Done. Right, and you can learn on the job. Then, as you do well and show skills and talents, like okay, we're going to make you an assistant manager. You know the process of becoming an assistant manager at Chick-fil-A? Here, put this shirt on instead. That's the whole process, right? And now and then a definition of this is how much authority you do have. Here's where you got to ask for more authority, but here's in your responsibilities. Here's what we expect of you. That's it. At EMS, it is okay. Add me in here. Get into the state system. We got to change this in the state system. Add me in here. Let's sign this off. I mean, and rightfully so. There's paperwork and all kind of special things that need to be put into place for that. And it's been a eye-opening experience. I like that Brian has definitely been like, no, we'll definitely take care of that, or here, do this, do that. It's been an interesting thing. Of course, trying to get off the truck, being the boss, if you will. When something opens up, you got to go be on the truck. So this is my third weekend, I think. And in that third weekend, I think I've been on the truck more than I've not been on the truck. Today's like the first day I've really just sat in the office and worked on things. Still haven't got my list done that I want done. And it's insurance time. Not
yeah.
But it's for us, it's truck insurance time. And so, Brian hit me and said, hey, I need all of this information for the people who aren't on this list. We're like, okay, let me start figuring that out and putting in processes. Lots of stuff to do, right? Okay, so you work in a space that you can't just say, hey, you're the boss. Is it a similar process of when you moved up from being a worker bee to queen bee?
On the fire side of things, it's
not the fire side. Where you work now? Where are you sitting right now?
I had a vacancy announcement. It wasn't an entirely complex process.
So wasn't it like here's all new permissions and
no, not really.
Now I gotta ask you this. Because every time I do something, you do something. Like that balance it. Right? I got out of EMS. Like I'm done. I'm burned out. I'm gonna let my license lapse. And what did you do? You went and got EMT and advanced EMT and EMA director and fire chief. But what are you doing?
An instructor.
Shut up. So now that I'm not only back on the truck, I have my level 2 instructor, which is above you, so I outrank you. Now I'm a director of operations.
Because you didn't have the class. I specifically remember saying, when Tom does the class, that means dumb.
That's not the point. I still outrank you. That's my point. And now that I'm director of operations in a place, what does that mean? Are you going to quit everything and not even put out fires anymore? Where's the universal balance going to happen?
It might be closer than you think.
I did love that I called you because I thought I'm going to need people, and we've been hiring and different things. I haven't had time to make that flyer to get to you, although you did send us somebody, and she did talk to me. And it was pretty cool.
Good.
But I ended up sending her, to talk to somebody in Royston because that was closer to her and better for her potential work schedule. I was like, yeah, but I called you to say, hey, you know a lot of people. You teach the classes down there, this and that and the other. You can send me EMTs. But your thing's like, I'll come ride on the truck as long as you're on the truck. We'll get in trouble doing something somewhere. I was like, no, I'm not asking you. I don't need you to drive.
Is that not what our game plan is?
Usually.
Hey, you want to go to Ohio?
Dude, the other night, no kidding, Monday night. So, I've implemented some new stuff, and we're getting some things, and things are just smoothing out, right? Obviously, this was a good company before I got here, or I wouldn't have signed on in the first place. By no means. I just want to be very, very, very clear. By no means am I any kind of savior, or I'm saving the day or making anything. It was horrible and I fixed it. It's not like that at all. I mean, I wouldn't have worked for Trinity just even as an EMT if it was like that. Much less take on a leadership position if it was like that. But I talk, and I talk a lot, and I talk about anything. So I think that's helped smooth some fears of me coming in and doing things. I've just talked things out. But I was telling everybody, say, hey, we all have to step up. We need to get our call volume up as best we can, which means showing our face, right? Showing up at Walton and Newton and anywhere else that might call us and say, hey, we're here. Absolutely. Call your contracted provider first. I know with Walton, they get Metro, but they're looking at other services right now. Newton has national EMS, Rockdale has national EMS, and Morgan has national EMS. So, but those are the areas that we can service. And so I say, absolutely call them first. But if they're unavailable, or basically that's just it. If they're unavailable and can't handle the call, then we're here to help. And you give them a big smile, right? And they were doing that before I came on. It kind of lapsed a little bit, but we've been getting back to it. I've got other things in place, but I was talking to everybody saying, hey, we got to work together. We have a new pay scale. I've definitely tried to put up another truck to make things more available, to bring in more calls. But we really have to work together on things. And, the universe will try you, right? As soon as you go, oh, everybody's going to see if you do it. And so Roy was working with Josh the other day. Roy Perry's working. I don't remember Josh's last name, but he's working with Josh. Mobley, thank you. From the peanut butter gallery in the other room, I guess the last name, Mobley. And they both were like, yeah, we're done with these calls, this and that. And I asked them to go up and show their face at Walton, and they did. And they said, well, we're going to get Andy to call up to Newton. So it would say fuel and this and that and the other, but we'll definitely, call up there and let them know that there's trucks available, so on and so forth. And Newton immediately said, yeah, we got to call Holden. We're trying to fly him out. But, and this actually leads into another topic I want to talk about. We're not sure where they're going. We're looking at these other places. Roy's here watching. Because we're looking at other places. And can you do it? And it was like 6 p.m. And our truck's supposed to get off at 8 p.m. that particular night.
On my list of things to look
and he said, no, we can't do it. I heard some traffic, but I missed it. So I was like, hey, what's going on? Because I was driving home. I was going home to have dinner with my family Monday night is what I was going to do. And actually, we were going out to Japanese, which is one of my favorite things to do. And but yeah, they got one going to Savannah, but they're trying to fly. But Monday it was raining and nasty. And there was no way it was going to fly. I guess there was a potential way it was going to fly, but we thought it wasn't going to fly. And so I called, because that's good. That's good insurance, right? That's good payment there. And so I called Roy, and I was like, no, I get it. You guys have to check in, or if you don't want to do it, that's fine. That's absolutely how it works, especially that close to the end of the shift. Even if it's a call to Atlanta, like, will you take this for me? And it's a please and thank you mentality, right? The short version is Josh couldn't go because he was going to get back way too late for him. But Roy's like, I'll go. I said, look, if you're good for it, Roy, I'll go. I'll get a uniform and meet you at the hospital, and I'll go with you. And Roy said he'd do it. And so at 7 p.m. at night, we're leaving Newton, Piedmont to go to Savannah, freaking Georgia, which is 3.5, 4 hour ride, 235 miles, I think is one way what it ended up being. To say, yeah, we'll take the call. It was.
That's because you care.
Kind of. I care about getting paid.
That's on your T-shirt. We care.
That's a little side note. I love the ideas of little mottos and things that help give you an idea of what we do. But I was thinking about that. We care. That's way too much. That's way too easy to mess that up, right? So, well, we care, but the company didn't care about us. There's two ways. I like the idea of I care, because that just puts personal responsibility into it. I care. One, Trinity is a company. It can't care because it's a company. It has no feelings. Brian cares because I care. Brent DeMar says that's because of money. All right, let's talk this out. Let's talk this out, Brent. Everybody's kind of picking on it and having fun with it, and that's great. Here's what happened. We took the patient from Newton ER to Memorial in Savannah ER, which that's the thing I'm learning about here recently. Is like ER to ER transfers is the thing. Even when I told you about that, Doug was like, "What?" Yeah, I know. I don't get it fully. Andy's supposed to sit down and educate me on the whole process. Because I asked him when I was like, as an industry, and this is where I want to take it. So Brent, you're here. Roy, you're here. Frank's here. Y'all chime in. But as an industry, how we're serving our people better. And I mean healthcare industry. So I'm including hospitals and EMS for this conversation. Okay. So I asked Andy, I was like, when did ER to ER become a thing? Because it's always been rooms, right? A doctor accepts them, they get a room. And previously, when I was in the field, and I think Ginger and I took 2 in one day to an ER, and we didn't. We went. The first one was the Cobb Wellstar, which is over on the other side of Six Flags. So we head out there, we take them, and it's I think that one was like a STEMI or something. And Brent says he needed it. Well, we'll talk about that. I want to talk about that. We'll get to that. Put a pin in that. Think about it. But we went to Wellstar Cobb, and they got onto us. Once we got there, it's like, hey, you didn't call. I'm like, no, we're a transport. We're coming from whatever hospital. Piedmont Walton, Piedmont Newton. I don't know. We're coming from one hospital. And like, well, you still have to call because this is coming into our ER. I'm like, say what? What do you mean it's coming into the ER? Because I didn't take a report. I was driving, so I didn't hear that there was not a room that was going to the ER. And so we apologize. You do what you do. It's like, oh, we're sorry. We didn't know. I don't even know how to call you. That specific hospital, how to call you.
Don't they have a radio? Or
we don't have radios. We're not on the state system. We don't do 911. We don't have the state system.
You don't have a radio at all?
I got a nice digital radio to talk to my trucks and my people. No, I do not have a radio to hear all you people on the trucks out there who are busy saving lives calling in every 5 seconds. I got other things to do with my life. No, so Douglas.
You've never transported someone to an ER then, because the only way you
know what we do not go pick somebody up from their house because they're sick and take them to the ER because their doctor ain't available.
You just did. You just did.
Okay, I picked him up from an ER. That's my thing. I picked him up from an ER, Douglas. Dude, I'm gonna smack you. So no, we have to call on the phone, and we'll have to get a phone list. You can sneak in. What do you want?
Did you want your copy now, sir?
I got my coffee. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ginger, you crazy. And Roy says it's a courtesy to call. That's not how the ER saw it. Now, it's not how Wellstar Cobb saw it. And I get it. For them, we're coming in through the back door. They need to know we're here so they can get us a bed, that kind of thing. And he's saying people walk in on a daily basis with no warning. I think it is. I will agree. It is a little bit different. He's like, Google it. But it is a little bit different if you're coming in by ambulance, right? We always call ahead. And yeah, blah, blah, blah. It can be courtesy, whatever. But they didn't have a bed for us. So we sat on the wall with the patient we had, ended up getting, I didn't say this on the wall. Roy, you just give me a second. I'm getting to my story. So I think Ginger went, huh? So anyway, so that was the first one. I'm like, well, that was weird. Okay. Well, then either later that night or the next shift I worked with Ginger, we took one to Piedmont Athens. And again, I did not know we didn't have a room. And we go into the ER at Athens, and they literally said, well, you didn't call us. We don't have a bed. And I literally said, the hospital called you. The doctor called and talked to another doctor. You knew we were coming. The hospital called and told you we're on the way. I don't understand. And like, well, you didn't call us. You have to wait. And we did. We said, when that's when I hit Andy. It's like, when the hell did we as an industry start going ER to ER? And is this a new procedure I need to figure out about having to call and get a bed and all this other stuff? Because we'll do it. Because you know me, Douglas. It's like, we'll take care of the patient. We'll do what we have to do. But it was weird. And that's all the information I have. I don't know when we started as an industry doing ER to ER transfers. I can see part of it, right? Part of it. Let's get to the patient we had. So he needed a neurological treatment, right? I know where HIPAA is. I know where it stands. I could give a lot more details without violating HIPAA. I'm just not gonna. It's not relevant to the story. But he needed neurological treatment. So he's at Piedmont Newton. And they're like, yeah, he's got to go. And thank you for taking him. And we're not sure. We're here to help. We show up. Actually, I was in jeans and a uniform because I'd literally left the office and gotten almost to my house to go to dinner. And we're like, okay, Roy's going to meet you at Newton. And it's halfway between us because he's coming from Walton, I'm coming from Conyers. So I just run in the house, grab one of our uniforms, run back out. So I'm in jeans in my uniform, but at least I'm trying. And, of course, he's in his full uniform. And we go in, and they're hanging stuff. They're definitely providing definitive treatment over what I can provide, right? Over what my ambulance can provide for the patient. And they were looking at Chattanooga and Savannah. Like, all right, this is a big deal, and we got to take them, whatever. Now here's reality. Let's play reality. Did we serve the patient? I mean, we as an industry. I don't mean specifically those nurses or doctors or me, myself on our truck or even Memorial. I mean, as an industry, are we serving our patients correctly? Roy asked, did you clock out for this show? I don't clock in and out, number one. Number two, this is on Trinity EMS also on Facebook. So facebook.com/ I think it's Trinity EMS LLC is our Facebook link. And so it's part of what we're doing to promote our company. So there, Roy, there.
I didn't clock out of my salary job either.
Right. And so, everything is stacking and they're giving Roy the report, running all the stuff. It is definitely an ALS emergent call. I don't remember exactly how long it took, but he said 237 miles from door to door is what we went for this patient. So that's a long way, right? And 3.5 to 4 hours. Our stretchers are not built for that. They're just not. And it's tough on anybody to ride a stretcher like that. And it's tough on Roy's the medic to sit there because, you only have so much room to keep your knee. And he would turn and try to stretch his legs out, but that's a long ride and there's nowhere to put your feet. It's just a tough ride, but we take care of our patients. We do what we have to do. My issue came when we got to Memorial, same thing. Now, Roy called. We were 15 minutes out. He got on the phone. He had their number to the radio room or whatever he had to call. He called them, gave a report, hospital to hospital. Doctors already accepted them. Okay, we're good. And we go in, and they're kicking. I mean, they are busy. It's a Monday night, and they are slam busy. The ER is full. There's probably 6 or 7 ambulances sitting in the ambulance bay, huge ambulance bay. Actually, it's a really well-designed ambulance bay to let trucks come in and out and park and keep things flowing. It's really well thought out for how busy they stay. And there was somebody already parked on the wall. We go in, Roy talks to the radio room, and they're like, all right, you got to sit on the wall. Wait. And Roy, I can't do Roy. Roy is a much more bubbly. I mean, bubbly might not be the right word, but he's enthusiastic. He's happy. There's stuff that when I'm going to say even here on the show, it'll sound negative. That when he was saying he's playing around, it's obviously, playing around and trying to help out. But he's like, went on the wall. We came 237 miles. This place went up 4 hours. Well, how could, but he does it in a very nice, pleasant way. I'm sure they were laughing. I went in the room. But we sat on the wall. And man, my patient's fidgeting because they've been sitting in that stretcher for so long. And they had previous neurological things going on, and they're sensitive to pressure and there's and a bit older patient. And so they're sitting there going, when are we going to bed? And I said, I don't know. And then I'm always listening. I'm always looking around. And another ambulance comes in. And another ambulance comes in. And they're parked on the wall as well. And we're all making room for each other to sit on the hallway. And I hear a patient tell one of the other medics, I guess this is a bad hospital to come to. We should go to one of the others. And the medic said to the patient, no, all the hospitals are like this. They're all that bad. And, I mean, it's a big area. I don't know. Someone's beeping like crazy. It's driving me nuts. I don't know what's going on.
It's not me.
Is your pacemaker going off? I guess she died. Okay. Well, it stopped beeping, so whatever. We'll get to her later. And then I heard another patient on another stretcher ask her medic, well, can we ask again? The medic's like, And he's right. Keep in mind, as I'm telling the story, I'm asking these questions. It's bigger pictures, not specifically to that person sitting there this day. But he's like, ask him again will just piss him off. And he's right, and I get that. But more people come in and more fidgeting. And I just did what I do. I'm like, I'm EMS undergrounding this right now. And as my patient's like, well, how long we got to wait? It's like, I don't know. We have to wait till we get a room. And they're very busy tonight. And he's asking more stuff. And this, and I was like, no, you're right. I don't know why in any system, and this is truly my frustration, why in any system, when a hospital has a patient and they call and another hospital says yes, and a doctor says, yes, I'll take that patient. Why is this treated like a brand new patient walking in and we're sitting on the wall? We have to find them a room. And I'm saying this out loud. It's like, I don't know why that is. I don't know why there's 6 ambulances, stretchers sitting here right now waiting on beds when they're obviously busy and full. I don't know why they're not going on diversion. I don't know. And he's like, was there a survey? I'm like, I'm sure they will send you a survey, sir, and you are free to speak your mind on that any way you want. I'm not trying to drag the hospital out because they were busy and they were trying and they were helping. And the nurse, some tech made the bed and she obviously was going, that's all she was doing. Bed to bed to bed to bed, making new beds, trying to get the ambulances through, right? So she's frustrated because everyone went to her like, hey, how you doing tonight? He's like, nah, it is what it is, and moved on. I get that. You're slammed busy. I mean, we're talking about hallway beds, Douglas, which to me tells me there's too many people here. There's too many things going on. I know the radio people were doing their best and this and that, and I don't remember what all I said, but I was calling it out, and I was like, and I said it out loud. How are we servicing this patient, taking them from one ER to another ER 4 hours away? And this comes back to the point that I'm going to say, Chance says, Roy Perry, keep hands and feet in the right at all times. And he didn't. Little side story, after coming back from Savannah, and we're getting off on the back roads, and we're at a stop sign, he goes, hey, you're riding a little slow. I got to open this door. And he opened his door and stuck his foot out and stretched his leg out as we're riding down the road. So he did not keep his hands and feet in the right at all times. I'm just saying. But it was fine. Of course, I took it slow. Now, Brent said actually he needed it. Everyone else close was diverted. But here's my point. Let's play reality. One, did we service him by taking him from an ER bed with doctors and nurses who can give a higher level of definitive care than I can in the back of the truck, taking him 4 hours on a hard stretch, and it just is what it is. And I know they tried to fly him, and the weather was what it was. Otherwise, it'd been like an hour flight, a little bit easier on him. But even flying him, taking him all the way over there when he lives here, to then go down to the ER, because the flight, they would have landed up top and gone down to the ER to hold a wall and then put him in a bed in the ER hallway when he had a room, he had care. And it was obvious he was going to sit there 3 or 4 hours before he got any kind of definitive care there as well. Right. And I was like, how we, so now we're talking, he had care under strict observation, had people who could do better stroke protocols than I can do. Right. To another hospital that possibly, I guess more was a level 2, level 1. I don't know ultimately what level they were looking for. Neurology specialist. I don't know what the criteria was, but we sent him there. So I don't know how long he'd been in the ER. Let's call it a couple hours. That's standard, right? 2 to 4 hours, depending on how quickly they decided they needed to send him out. We had him for 4 hours. So you're talking about 8 hours to then wait probably an hour or two in that ER minimum. So 10 hours. He says with what he needed, it was not available where he was. But my point is, if we had said no, the reality is the helicopters weren't flying. National can call me out, but I worked with National. I don't recall ever taking a transport like this, a 4-hour transport one way, so an 8-hour round trip. National wouldn't have said yes that night, right? Otherwise, they obviously weren't going to say yes, because otherwise the hospital would have called them and not us, right? So they called them. And Roy says they're level 1 trauma center. Most ambulance services, especially as you get into the nighttime, aren't going to take those kind of transport. So you're going to get, what if you get no's across the board, which happens a lot? We almost said no to this transport. So what happens? He stays in that ER with definitive care under observation, which is maybe what he needed. Again, I'm not involved. I don't have the full report. But You know what I'm saying? And that's you, that's Roy, that's Brent. Did we service him by spending let's call it 6 hours, because he got care in Newton ER. By spending 4 hours on the road, another hour and a half, 2 hours waiting in the ER there and we don't know. He might have gone to surgery. He might have had other specialty neurological stuff happening. Midnight, because we got there at 11 p.m. at night. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. They might be doing some other stuff that Newton couldn't do. But how much cost versus reward, right, Douglas? With what we put him through in that transport, in that business, and now potentially exposing an at-risk patient to more COVID, because it is a super busy ER. And not everybody knows they have COVID, right? And not everybody wears a mask like they're supposed to, even in the ER, right? You know, risk versus reward. End of my story. What do you think? Do you think we service that patient as an industry as well as we could have?
You asking for, the general public to make comments, or me?
Yes.
The whole time you were telling me the story, I thought it was very unusual. I mean, I couldn't imagine why you would be going to Savannah for something like that, not to Atlanta, or why there wasn't something. If he needed immediate care, that's not what he got. If he didn't need immediate care, then why would you have to transport at all? It just doesn't make sense to me.
These are the questions I was asking to myself, because the way I'm being very careful about how I phrase this story. I'm being very careful how I phrase this story so that nobody feels like I'm calling one thing out. 'Cause I'm not trying to call out Memorial for being busy and putting us in a hallway and making us wait. I'm not trying to call out Newton for shipping him out, but I'm saying that these are the questions that have to be asked, because if we don't ask the questions, nobody's trying to find the answers, right? And that was my question is could we have done anything better for him, closer, to wait till see if the Atlanta ones were off the version, right? And because that's what Brent was saying, is everything was on the version in Atlanta. That's why they had to finally go out to Savannah and even Chattanooga in another state to see if they could get something. I just, you don't think in 4 hours a hospital's going to come off a diversion in Atlanta? I mean, honestly, that happens all the time to me. I mean, 4 hours is just a long way. It's just a long time, Try to turn this radio down some. Are you frozen, or are you just staring at me?
No, I was reading the comment that was up on there about everybody else was on diversion or something.
Yeah, and nobody ever says we're on diversion. Well, sometimes they'll say we're on a 2 hour diversion, but these hospitals, AMC, Grady, Emory, all the versions thereof. Well, it's not AMC anymore. 703, 704. Hold on. Go ahead.
Are you at the office?
Yeah, 4.
I just got an automated call from ADT saying that we had a alarm condition or a trouble condition
All right.
at our location there. They gave that address.
Hold on a second, Brian.
Hey, buddy. Are you the author?
Yeah. I got so much stuff. You talk for a minute, Douglas. I'll figure this out. All right.
Great.
Andy was just saying ADT came out and was into trouble. Did you Chris in a trouble button?
I think it's more interesting to try to hear what he's actually doing in the background. Well, I guess that's what you get on a live show, right?
All the middle of everything going on. It's okay.
Yep.
All right.
Do you know the passcode?
No. I appreciate that. All right, thanks. So, funny side story. Our building alarm went off, and that's where everything started blowing up. It was when ADT's calling. What's wrong? You okay?
Yeah, we were still listening.
It's fine. But okay, so back to my question. I'm gonna throw it back to you because I know what you said. Brent says we were told not to. Okay, so we're talking about diversion. How long they're going to come off? Brent says we were told not till 0600. Now that's another problem, right? That's another problem with our industry is I get it. It's busy. But if we have, those are the major hospitals. It's Wellstar Atlanta, which used to be called AMC, which used to be called Georgia Baptist, depending on how far you go back. You got Grady. You got a bunch of Emory's, right? Emory Midtown, Emory Northside, blah, blah. You've got Wellstar Cobb. You've got all these hospitals that can handle this kind of, well, theoretically handle this kind of thing. Let's just call the three. Wellstar Atlanta, Grady, and Emory. Brent said we're told not until 0600 would they come off of diversion. This is at 6 p.m. at night. So that's 12 hours of diversion. If we're that slammed up and locked down, which is very, 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 very possible, how do we fix that? How do we get another big hospital up in the area to help service the community and the patients better?
Is another hospital what you need, or is non-hospital care what you need? How many people go into the ER because it's convenient, or they think it's free, or they don't know to go somewhere else?
I'm gonna put up that. You're right, but I don't think the argument applies here because he's already in a hospital. He needed specialty care, right? So presumably they're not trying to send him to another ER. They did, but they're not trying to. I think they're trying to send him to a room. Right? Is that, I would assume.
I don't know. I don't know ultimately what kind of care what care they were looking for that had him go so far.
Right.
But in either case, the hospitals are overloaded because people are using them for everything.
Yeah. No, you're right. And you're right. I mean, that's part of why Memorial.
Whether it's an ER or whether it is a room, they fill up rooms because people come through the ER and they go, hey, let's bump you to a room so that you become somebody else's problem. Oh, we gotta,
You've always never worked in the ER. That's not how that works. We'd love working because that's the problem. You only get to go upstairs if a doctor says they're gonna look after you. But what you're saying, it's a flow. And Memorial slam busy. And of course I watched some of the standard stuff happen coming out of ambulances in Memorial where they brought a patient in who looked like they could have waited till tomorrow or something. But, then they bring out the bags of stuff that go with that patient, right? Suitcases or whatever, like shopping, little old person shopping carts with full of stuff. Yeah. And, okay, well, if you can bring all your stuff with you, I don't know the medical cost, but, in standard, if you can have time to take an overnight bag with you to the ER, you probably don't need the ER. But you might need to see a primary care or urgent care or something. I mean, that is problematic. I believe this ER to ER transfer is problematic. I mean, it's indication that there's a bigger problem in the system.
So what do you do with the person that should go to a primary care physician but doesn't, and then the primary care physician is closed, and then they have nowhere else to go except an ER?
Well, okay, I can already answer some of that. State of Georgia is working on protocols or officially. I forget where it is in the process, but it's not official yet. That's all I can really say. That ambulances, now this doesn't help relieve the 911 burden, but it helps relieve the ER hospital burden. That ambulances will have protocols that they can take patients to urgent cares, right? Which are usually privately based. I mean, yes, they take insurance, this and that. But they have $40 for this shot and this for an exam and this for this and this for that. And so that will help eliminate some of the burdens off the hospital. And COVID is an issue. Brent's putting that up. COVID is definitely an issue. And that's another thing. If I'm playing devil's advocate here. If a hospital has only 2 ICU beds open, right? Or even on the COVID, a lot of hospitals make COVID floors, which are basically specialized ICUs. But they only have 2 ICU beds open. They only have 2 cardiac unit beds open. They only have 3 COVID beds open. They're going to say, no, you can't come here from another hospital. Because what happens if we have that cardiac patient roll in the ambulance right here in our community? We got to keep that open. What happens if these COVID patients, all of a sudden we got 3 or 4 that need these beds? So they're going to, diversion is not always 100% full, diversion is we only have this much wiggle room and we can't breathe sometimes, right? Dude, I saw some numbers. And Keith says, I think that statement about the overnight bag may be situational. Of course it is. Of course, it's just representative, Keith, of we know the truth is not everybody who calls 911 and or goes to the ER needs the ER, right? That's all that really was a reference, more or less a reference to that. So, yeah, I mean, we need more education in the public about urgent cares and more, urgent cares that can handle things. I mean, and that was it. Roy actually started fussing at me because I was talking about it as we leave the hospital. I care about my patients. I do. That's one of the reasons I went and took the call. I took the call because, let's be real. The insurance on that is going to pay really well, and it's going to be a great private transport. Secondly, and you can say money grabbing all you want. I don't care. The world doesn't turn without money. But secondly, that hospital is in our wider community for Trinity. We want to service them and help them. That patient, to me, any patient that I make contact with, either through a nurse or otherwise, is somebody I'm there to help, right? So that's the second reason. Let's help them out. Let's take them out and do this. And then to know how much discomfort he was in and how much issues he was having, to know that he's going to be in one, waiting on the wall, and then two, having to be in this bed. And I'm not saying the whole bed is negative. I'm saying it's indicative of the fact that they're being swamped right now. They are being slammed right now at this hospital. Is he really going to get the service he needs? And there are other privacy issues related that I felt really, really bad for him to not have at least a curtain that could be drawn around him or something. And I was fussing about it. Roy's like, you stop fussing, man. I can't do Roy's voice. You stop fussing, man. You taught me to go. And I'm like, as a company, this is a good call for us. And we absolutely helped Newton when they needed help. And that's the other caveat. There should be I should put a banner up here with an asterisk. Charles doesn't have the whole picture. So just keep that in mind. Because I don't know everything that went on in Newton. I don't know how the 911 comes. I'm assuming it came in 911. I don't know how that came through. I don't have all the information. And that should be always the asterisk. I'm asking questions instead of railing or ranting.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's always standard with me, right? No, that's not true. I always know what I'm talking about, just with the information I have. And so we absolutely help Newton. We service them. We service the patient. And yeah, sometimes if I had a bigger picture, I could maybe go, okay, I get it. We put a patient through a little bit of discomfort for the greater good of the patient. But I just really felt bad. I was like, no, I'm not upset that we came out here and drove. Actually, it was a bit of a fun trip, and it made good income for the company, and we helped out people that needed help. All good around for just that little part. I'm just upset that anybody as a patient is going to have to go through that kind of negative experience. And then how do we fix it? And that's just a bigger question than what everybody keep thinking about. And when I say everybody, I just mean people who are watching the show or listening to the sound of my voice. Is part of it's going to be education, right, Douglas? Of, hey, don't go to the ER for everything. Go to an urgent care if it's after hours. Call your doctor otherwise. Let me see what Keith says here. That is exactly right. Unfortunately, I have health issues to where I consider myself a frequent flyer to the ER. One, I've never called an ambulance. Well, Keith, that's because you work on an ambulance. I mean, that's being real. Because you work on an ambulance, and we know even when we should call an ambulance, we won't because of how many times we've run calls when people don't need it, right? But two, he said, back to what he's saying here. Two, even when I have been directly admitted by my doctor, I was sent to the ER in place of the floor/ICU. And that also depends. See, there's other factors involved, like laws or hospital regulations or insurance regulations, that if you're coming from home or from a doctor's office, right, and it's not done a certain way, like I guess by ambulance, I don't know. There's something that I think is in place that says, essentially, if you come off the street, the ER has to screen you first, no matter what. Even if a doctor's writing orders to send you upstairs, the ER has to get this baseline of, here's the vitals, here's all the information, we got them in the system. One of our doctors has looked at them, found this, and now they can go upstairs. But that takes 2 to 3 hours. And that's a burden on the ER. How can we make it better? And there's no easy answers to this, right? But that's always my goal is how do we make it better? How do we make this easier? How do we help you more? And the you is everybody. It's the patients. It's the ambulance services out there. It's the hospitals and clinics that we service or that are in the system. All three hospitals being on diversion for 12 hours. And that straight up can be, with COVID and everything else. I don't know. How do we make this better? And is it a temporary burden or is this a new way of life? Is it really, because if it's COVID related, right? That's temporary burden. We've got vaccines coming. We see we've gotten more and more safe practices in place. We're learning more and more and more about the disease and how it works and how it affects people. So as you learn, that burden levels off and possibly, hopefully, even dips down to where it's easily manageable. There might be a day when COVID is just flu, right? Oh, it's flu season. Get your COVID and flu shots, type of deal.
Isn't it a strain of it anyway? Isn't it the same?
Yeah, no, it is. It is a strain of flu. It's just a
it's the same RNA sequence.
Yeah, it's the Mr. T strain. I pity the fool who has to cough. No, wait, no, I got a better one. Douglas. I pity the fool who likes to taste and smell. But it's like other diseases we've discovered throughout the years, and we're semi-eradicated smallpox, polio, right? You don't see those popping up. We have vaccinations against measles, mumps, and rubella, right? The MMR vaccinations. We've got tetanus vaccinations. We got TB. No, I think I went. See you, Brent. Thanks for piping in, man. And I hope I treated the situation fair. I hope you because he worked over with Newton, and I hope that represented it well and didn't call anybody out super harsh. I realize I'm always calling somebody out, either myself or other people. I'm always putting somebody on point. But yeah, I mean, so that's a question. Is it because we're not fully got a handle on COVID yet? And then we'll see that burden drop off in the new year. And all of a sudden this diversion stuff will come down lower. Or are we going to have to put expansions of hospitals or build new hospitals and educate the public to go to your urgent care instead? Dude, it's flu season. And if COVID weren't here, we'd still have a lot of similar issues in ERs being full because, like you said, people don't go. They either don't have a primary or they don't go to it or they didn't take time out of their day before the office shut down. And so now they're at the ER with the flu. And I'm talking about the standard flu.
Yeah.
It used to be a major. You remember my legendary story of how I was working at Newton ER before it became Piedmont. And I came in at 7 o'clock and the place was slammed full. And there was a 3 or 4 hour wait at 7 p.m. to get back to see a doctor for anything, just to get back, right? And I put up the door and went, this is the standard of the ER address. Look to your left, look to your right. You probably got the flu or they got the flu. If you have these symptoms, fever, cough, this and that, go home. Take some medication, take some Tylenol, some Motrin. I got all kind of official forms I can give you to teach you how to take care of yourself at home because it is now a 4-hour wait to see the doctor. Wow. And most of you it's because you got flu symptoms. It cleared out the ER. You want to know, you remember for how long? Or do you want to guess for how long it cleared out the ER?
How long did it take everyone to get out of the ER?
Yeah, I cleared it out and it was semi-empty for how long?
Well, that's what I'm saying. As long as it took them to get out of the ER, it would have come back in again.
Yeah, about 20 to 30 minutes. And it was slammed full again with people full of flu. And every hour or so I go out. It is now a 6-hour wait to see the doctor. And then, of course, as it gets later, people either just, then they get that different kind of easy. If it's 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and you got flu symptoms, sometimes it's easier just to sit at home and tough it out till the morning and see what happens than it is to get up, get in your car, and go to the doctor or the ER, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the ease, not should I, not can I take care of myself? What's easier for human life? So one of the last flu patients we had that night was that they came in a little before midnight. Midnight, I gave that announcement of it's going to be 6 hours to see the doctor. Sure enough, about 6:45 a.m., she about 5:45, she'd gotten in to see the doctor. Straight up flu-like symptoms. That's all she had. Flu. I told her, here's the sheet. You take Tylenol, Motrin. No, I need to see the doctor. Okay. She was being discharged at just before 7 when I got off. I had waited all night long to finally go home because she needed a doctor's note for work. And that might be, and that's another problem, right? If your work is so stringent that you can't go in the morning to an urgent care or a primary care physician, I don't know. That was a bad thing. But you know what I'm saying? We would be having issues with the ERs now. I don't think we'd be as much on diversion as we are without COVID. I don't know. It's tough. It's on my mind. It's what's burning my ambulance down. If you don't know what I mean by burning my ambulance down, there you go. That's the ambulance on fire right there. Is what is the burning thing on my mind this week of how do we help? You know, that is it. Well, we're about out of our time, man. Is there anything that was burning on your mind since I talked you out the whole time?
No.
Good enough. Facebook.com/VFFGA, Volunteer Firefighters of Georgia. We're trying to, Douglas is more or less spearheading that, which means there's not a lot getting done because he's not social. But we're trying
That's
to do.
why I asked you to make it up.
I made it up, and I'm trying to help you with some content, baby.
I know speaking good, and you speaking too much. And
Everybody wishes they had my mute button. You know what? If you've got volunteer firefighter, no, specifically volunteer-based fire services to help represent the volunteers that are out there. If you got news, you got stuff you want us to discuss, or information you think we need to have, or any other conversations and questions, go over to that page, Facebook.com/VFFGA. It's Volunteer Firefighters of Georgia. This is on Facebook.com/Georgia Institute of EMS, and I didn't have the time to make one for Trinity EMS, the banner for it. But also today, we're putting this out on Facebook.com/Trinity EMS LLC of Georgia. Look us up. It's a nice big green truck with Tim's on the side of it. Pretty awesome. I've got an ad up there right now. I'm hiring EMTs, PRN, and part-time, advanced EMTs, PRN, and part-time, and paramedics, part-time and close to full-time hours, depending on what's going on. So we're definitely still hiring people. So hit me up through Facebook there. You can email me, charles@trinityemsga.com. I don't have that one available on the banner either. If you have a topic, now I understand I'm throwing different emails out because I'm working with two different services right now. I'm working with Georgia Institute of EMS and Trinity. So if you want to have a job, hit me up at the trinityemsga.com email address. If you want us to talk about a topic, charles@gaiems.com. Or if you got questions about continuing education or those kind of things that I can help you with, we can hit it up there. Of course, YouTube, that's not the right YouTube address. We're on YouTube, and then this is a podcast that has been recorded. So anchor.fm/EMS Underground are all your podcatchers out there. Let's see where we're in the comments. So, yeah. All right. I think we're going to try this again next week, possibly, Douglas. Hopefully, maybe.
possibly.
Yeah. You never know how much you're done here or in the studio. I've got medics around. We can do some paramedic story time. We can have more discussions. But that is definitely the goal as I get settled in more here with Trinity of talking about still doing this show and talking about EMS and my passion for it and help identify problems and hopefully help come up with some solutions. But until next week, I'm out. And Douglas, we never know when he's going to show up. It's all right.
I'll show up when you call me. Maybe.
Usually, kind of.
Sometimes.